Today's lesson is Plus Talk, taking leave from work. Hi, everybody. I'm Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And today we've got some conversations which involve taking leave from work. If you have a job and you're working day after day, sometimes you need to take time off of work for vacation or to take care of some business outside of your work environment. So you need to take leave. It could be a long time, or it could be just, say, for a couple of hours.
Yes, and when you work in a company and you want to take leave, it's a good idea to tell your boss, your manager, or your supervisor about when you want to take leave so that your coworkers can pick up your share of the work and be able to do your work in a way that doesn't really interfere with their work. So it's always a good idea to mention when you want to take leave to your boss so that your boss can arrange the situation.
Exactly. And of course, when you want to take a lot of time off from work to go on holiday or go on vacation someplace, then you need to talk to your supervisor ahead of time, as Helen said, to make sure the office doesn't have any problems with your absence. So that's what we're going to be talking about first, an annual leave that Steve wants to take, and he needs to talk to his supervisor, Adam, about that. So let's listen to part one now and listen to Adam and Steve's conversation, and then we'll come back to discuss it.
Taking leave from work.
1. Applying for annual leave. Steve approaches his supervisor, Adam, to talk about applying for annual leave.
Hey, Adam, do you have a minute?
Yes, have a seat. What do you need to talk to me about?
My wife and I are planning a trip for February, and I'm going to be using my annual leave. I thought I should let you know as soon as possible so you can adjust the team's workload while I'm away.
Noted, thanks. Do you have any specific dates in mind yet?
Yes, I'll be taking the last 2 weeks off.
That shouldn't be a problem. Talk to HR to confirm the dates, then compile a list of your most pressing tasks. I'll find a way to distribute them.
Great, thanks.
大家好，第一部分我们看到名词 supervisor 指管理者或是监督者，例如Our supervisor is in charge of monitoring our progress. 我们的主管负责监控我们的进度。或是 Each department supervisor must approve any request for time off. 每个部门的主管必须批准任何休假要求。另外 supervisor 的动词为 supervise, S-U-P-E-R-V-I-S-E, supervise, 意思是监督或是指导。我们可以说Normally, important projects are supervised by management. 重要的计划通常由经理监督。又或者说 Max supervised his kids while they assembled the tent. Max 指导他的孩子们组装帐篷。接着我们看到单字 workload. 这个字是名词，指工作量或是工作负荷。例如 The summer is a good time to take a vacation because the workload is lighter.夏天是休假的好时间，因为工作量比较少。或是 Our workload has increased recently as there has been a surge in business. 由于交易剧增，我们最近的工作量有所增加。再来我们看到动词 compile 指汇整或是汇编，像是 I plan to compile these poems into one volume. 我计划把这些诗集结成一册。或是Melissa compiled a list of items she needed to buy for her camping trip. Melissa 将露营之行需要购买的物品编列成表。接下来我们看到形容词 pressing, 意思是急迫的或是紧急的，像是 There was a pressing need for aid after the earthquake hit Haiti. 海地在遭遇大地震后需要急迫的帮助。或是 One of the most pressing problems of our time is global climate change.我们这个时代其中最紧急的问题之一是全球气候变迁。另外 pressing 去掉 ing 成了动词 press 时有逼迫或是催促的意思。我们可以说 Jack is pressing me for information. Jack 逼着我透露资讯。或是 The judge pressed David to tell the truth. 法官催促 David 说出真相。
So part one is about applying for annual leave. The word annual here means yearly. So when people work in a company, they often take annual leaves, which means once a year they'll take a leave, and that period of time is perhaps a bit longer, a few days. It could be up to a week or even more than a week. And in those cases, you need to talk to your supervisor and arrange for how the work will be distributed. So here, Steve approaches his supervisor, Adam, to talk about applying for annual leave. Now, a supervisor is someone who's in charge of something, kind of like a manager. And the supervisor or the manager is responsible for making sure that everything runs smoothly. So definitely when you want to take an annual leave, you need to speak with your supervisor first, as Steve is doing.
Right. Again, this is not the actual boss of the company, not the president or the CEO, but these are people who are in charge of smaller departments. So, of course, Steve wants to talk to his supervisor, Adam, and talk about applying for annual leave, which is basically vacation time that you can take every year. You're not going to take a whole year off from work, maybe a week or two. It depends on where you're from. In the United States, I think we get 2 weeks of annual leave. Whereas in Europe, a lot of people get 2 months of annual leave. Boy, those Europeans really know how to enjoy their lives. Now, Steve begins the conversation and has a question. Hey, Adam, do you have a minute? I'd like to talk to you.
And Adam says, yes, have a seat. What did you need to talk to me about? So Steve and Adam are on a first name basis. They refer to each other by their first names, and it's quite casual, which is often the case in American companies. It's not the case, for instance, in a Japanese company where I doubt people will refer supervisors and the people they supervise will refer to each other by their first names.
Right. It kind of depends where you are. Of course, I'm from a small town, so we always referred to somebody as Mr. or Mrs. or Miss or something like that. It was very rare that we were on a first name basis unless we worked with them for a long period of time. But I guess Steve and Adam are, pretty friendly with each other. So Steve calls him by his first name. Do you have a minute? And Adam says, yes, have a seat. What did you need to talk to me about? It's kind of curious here. He's using the past tense. What did you need to talk to me about? He could also say, what do you need to talk to me about? I guess did is a little more casual here. And Steve says, well, my wife and I are planning a trip for February, and I'm going to be using my annual leave. So he comes straight to the point here and says that, yes, he is planning to take his annual leave in February. His wife and he want to take a trip in February, and they're going to use their annual leave, or at least he's going to use his annual leave then, because everybody has annual leave in a company, and you can use it anytime during the year.
Right. And Steve says, I thought I should let you know as soon as possible so you can adjust the team's workload while I'm away. And presumably, if we're in December now, Steve is asking Adam around 2 months in advance, which is pretty thoughtful. 2 months is a good time, a good period to have between when you want to take your leave and when you're asking, so that enough time is given to adjust the team's workload. To adjust means to change something only slightly in order to make it better. So you can, for instance, adjust the amount of salt in a recipe, in a soup recipe, if you don't want it to be so salty or if you don't want it to be so bland. You can also adjust your furniture in your house because you want to make the furniture look nicer the way they are arranged in the house, so you can rearrange the furniture. And here, workload is basically just the amount of work that a person has to do. And it usually applies to people who work for a company. You can also, however, talk about workload if you're a student. You can say this particular class is very hard because the students have a huge workload when they have to take courses with this professor.
Yeah, it kind of depends on your professor or your instructor, what kinds of homework they give you. You could have a light workload or a heavy workload. And again, they need to adjust the team's workload while he's away. So yes, they can sort of maybe give his projects to somebody else temporarily. They can make some changes, and then the company won't have any problems while he is gone. And Adam says, noted, thanks. I've heard what you said. I understand it, so it's been noted. Do you have any specific dates in mind yet? So yes, I know you want to take your annual leave in February. Can you be more specific? Do you know the actual dates? Is it going to start in the middle of the month around Valentine's Day and go on to the end of the month, or is it going to be earlier or later? Could you give me some specific dates?
And Steve says, yes, I'll be taking the last 2 weeks off. And Adam replies, that shouldn't be a problem. Talk to HR to confirm the dates, then compile a list of your most pressing tasks. So for Adam, the last 2 weeks of February isn't a problem for Steve to take off. And he says talk to HR. So HR is short for human resources. Human resources is that part of the company, that division that takes care of all matters related to employees. So it could be related to time off or health insurance, other things that are related to the workers in that company. So if HR confirms the dates, then it should be okay. And all Adam needs to do is compile or put together a list of his most pressing tasks. Here, pressing means urgent, important. So Steve wants a list of all of the things that Adam needs to do within that period, all of the most important things that he needs to do in that period when he's going to take off, so that those tasks can be given to his coworkers.
And of course, when those tasks are given to the other coworkers, they are distributed. So to distribute just means to pass things around, to give them to different people. In class, for example, your teacher may distribute papers. Okay, they'll probably give maybe like 5 pieces of paper to the person in the front and say, take one and pass the rest back. And so everybody is given those pieces of paper. The paper is distributed, or the pieces of paper, rather, are distributed. And yes, he's just going to give those tasks to different people so that they can be taken care of. And then Steve can enjoy his holiday. And Steve is grateful. He says, great, thanks. And that brings us to the end of part 1. Let's move on now to part 2 and talk about rearranging a schedule.
2. Rearranging a schedule. Lisa knocks on Adam's door to see if he's in his office.
Come in. Good morning, Lisa. What can I do for you?
Hi, Adam. It's nothing too important, really. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow afternoon, and I'll have to leave half an hour early. I was wondering if I might be able to start a little early to make up that time.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. You could also take a shorter lunch break if you like, if that's a better option for you. Either one is fine by me.
Actually, yeah, a shorter lunch break sounds like a good idea. Thanks, Adam.
Anytime.
最后我们看到片语 make up 表示补足或是补齐。例如 Johnny was sick yesterday, so his teacher let him make up for the test today. Johnny 昨天生病，所以他的老师今天让他补考。或是 I'll give you $10 now and we'll make up the difference when I get paid next week. 我现在给你10块美金，剩下的差额等我下星期领薪水再补给你。
So in part 2, which is titled Rearranging a Schedule, we have Lisa and Adam. So Adam is from the previous dialogue, and Adam was the one who was talking to Steve, who had asked Adam whether he could take his annual leave in February. And here, Adam is talking to Lisa. Lisa knocks on Adam's door to see if he's in his office, and Adam says, "Come in." "Good morning, Lisa. What can I do for you?"
Yep, what can I do for you? How can I help you? And Lisa says, Hi, Adam. Again, they're on a first-name basis here. They've known each other for a long time. And she says, It's nothing too important, really. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow afternoon, and I'll have to leave half an hour early. So when you're going to see the doctor or the dentist, we most often use the word appointment. Okay, I have an appointment with the doctor. I have a dentist's appointment. I've got, some cavities in my teeth. I need to get some fillings or something. So I have a dentist's appointment, for example. And she says she has a doctor's appointment. She needs to go see the doctor for some reason. And that appointment is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. And she says, I'll have to leave half an hour early. So if she usually gets off work at, say, 5 o'clock, she needs to leave at 4:30 in order to see the doctor.
Right. So as Roger mentioned, you use the word appointment when you want to go see a doctor because you have to arrange a time first, or with a dentist. But you can also use appointment for meetings related to business. So you would need to make an appointment, at least usually you would, to see your lawyer, to see your accountant, to see the bank representative. But you wouldn't use appointment for social situations. If you're just going for a lunch date with your friend, you wouldn't really call that an appointment. You might say, I have a date. And a date doesn't necessarily have to be between boyfriend, girlfriend. You can also have a date with your best friend for lunch or for dinner. So that's a distinction between appointment and date.
Right. And of course, if you're going to talk business with somebody, then you would be having a meeting. So she has a doctor's appointment and she wants to leave a half hour early. And she goes on to say, I was wondering if I might be able to start a little early to make up that time. So yes, she's going to leave early, so she needs to make up or compensate for that time. So she says maybe she'll be able to start a little early. Say, for example, if they start work at 9 o'clock every day, maybe she can start at 8:30 to make up for the time she's leaving early.
Yep, and you can also make up work. If you didn't do the work that you were supposed to do at a particular time, then you can say that you will do it later to make it up. So I'll make up the work tomorrow when I come back to the office. That's another example of the usage of the phrasal verb to make up. And Adam replies, yeah, that's not a problem at all. You could also take a shorter lunch break if you like, if that's a better option for you. An option here means something that you can choose in a particular situation. So in this particular situation, if you need to make up that time, you could just use your lunch break to make up that time. That's an option. That's your choice.
Right, an option is a choice, so she can do different things in order to make up for that time. She could come in early, yes, or she could shorten her lunch hour. Most people get an hour for lunch, but sometimes, of course, all we need is a half hour, so maybe she'll just bring a sack lunch with her to the office and eat it rather quickly and only take a half hour for lunch. And Lisa says, actually, yeah, a shorter lunch break sounds like a good idea. Thanks, Adam. Okay, so indeed, she likes his suggestion. She likes that option. A shorter lunch break sounds like a good idea. So therefore, she does not need to come in a half hour earlier for work. Maybe that's just too early for her. It takes her longer to get ready in the morning, or maybe she doesn't get out of bed so easily. Some people like to snooze for a long time. So she likes this option better. A shorter lunch break. That sounds like a good idea. And she's grateful. She says, thanks, Adam.
And Adam replies, anytime. So here, anytime is just another way to say you're welcome. It basically means I can help you anytime you want, or anytime you need advice, or anytime you need to talk to me about something, I'm here. But usually when you say anytime, it's just another way to express you're welcome.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's listen now to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。在课文第一部分对话里面， Steve 和他太太计划2月的时候要去旅行，他要向主管请年假。他就说 I thought I should let you know as soon as possible so you can adjust the team's workload while I'm away. 那句子里面用到一个单字 adjust， 我们来学习它的字首字根。好，当你看到 just 或者是 jud 或者是 jur 这些字根，它有正确的或者是判断的意思。很多跟法律相关的字都带有这一类的字根，像 judge 是指法官，那它也可以当动词来指判决评断。还有 jury 它是指陪审团， justice 它有公平正义或是司法的意思。好，那我们看到在 adjust 这个字当中，它的字首 ad 表示朝向，那么 just 表示正确的。像我们在调手表的时间或者是你要调音量的时候，就是要把它朝正确或是适当的状态来做调整。我们从这边也许就可以联想到 adjust 它有调整、调节或者是改变以适应什么什么的意思咯。好，另外课文里面的 so you can 怎么样怎么样，这边的 so 其实是省略字 so that， 是表达以便怎么样好让怎么样，意思就相当于 in order that。那么 so that 和 in order that 后面是要接表示目的的副词子句，去表达出以便怎么样，如此一来这样一来怎么样怎么样。好，那么在口语当中 so that 的这个 that 就可以省略咯。举例来说， John made sure to lock his bicycle so it wouldn't be stolen。John 确认自己有把脚踏车上锁，这样一来车子才不会被偷走。好，那么在课文第二部分的对话里面， Lisa 因为明天下午她有预约看医生，她必须提早半小时离开，所以就想问看看能不能早点来上班补足那一段时间。她就说I was wondering if I might be able to start a little early to make up that time. 好，那这边用到片语动词 make up 是及物用法，来表达说补足、补齐。像有时候我们可能会听到 make up the difference， 就是用来表达说补差价、弥补差额的意思哦。好，那我们顺便来补充 make up 的其他用法。第一种呢，我们之前很常讲这个文法，就是 make up 表示组成、构成，那么 A make up B 就是表达 A 构成 B。如果你是说 B be made up of A， 就是表达 B 由 A 组成咯。好，那第二个我们可以用 make up 来表达编造、虚构，像是可能编造某个故事谎言等等。例如 The story wasn't real, he made it up， 就是说那个故事不是真的，是他编造的啦。好，那么第三个用法是我们可以用 make up 来表达和好、重修旧好，尤其就是在争执之后和好。那 make up 在这个意思呢，它是不及物用法。例如 He made up with his girlfriend yesterday， 就是说他昨天跟他女朋友和好了，恭喜哦。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Annual. Pauline will be organizing the annual Christmas party this year. Supervisor. My supervisor has worked for the company for more than 20 years. Adjust. Stuart turned on his computer and adjusted the angle of his monitor. Distribute. The work gets distributed evenly among the members of the team. Appointment. I'd like to make an appointment to see Mr. Clark on Tuesday. Option. When Daryl lost his job, his only option was to move in with his parents.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.